Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I realize I talk a lot about Apodora on here, but I don't think I've ever told you about how I fell in love with this species. So, let's go back to the origin story of where my love for Apodora came from. Apodora papuana, or the Papuan python, sometimes mistakenly referred to as an olive python. These gentle giants are pound for pound the strongest pythons out there, meaning a 7-foot Apodora is stronger than a 7-foot insert python species X. These things are strong as can be, but they're really intelligent and they know just when to use that strength. And this little dude here has been with me for 5 years, since he could fit in the palm of my hand. So I'm going to put a little photo over this so you can see from the day I got him from Dan Malaria of DM Exotics as a fresh import. And I don't know if you can tell in that photo, but there are some bite wounds, some scars already on him. At that age, he still had his little umbilical slit, and yet it looked like he had been through war. He had already faced off with some creatures and predators that tried to eat him on a very unforgiving island. And yet here he is in human care and gentle as can be. He's actually probably the smallest of my Apodora at just under 7 or 8 feet by now and a little over 5 years old. So if that gives you any indication, these guys are slow to mature, slow to grow. They can reach, lengths of 15, 16 feet. And my biggest females are maybe 13, maybe 14. And I would estimate under 10 years old at most. So they take a long time to hit those giant sizes, and they're nowhere near as long as the giant anacondas and retics, but still a big snake. So I've named this handsome boy here Apollo after a friend of mine from Santa Barbara, who was a very good friend with, who was a volunteer of mine back at the zoo. We became very close friends in and out of zoo and work life. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago in a tragic car accident. Larger than life individual, and so I think about him all the time, and the larger than life personality on him, gentle giant, couldn't have been more true, especially if you know him. So I couldn't think of a more fitting name for my beloved Apodora. This was the first one I got. I'd coveted this species, so I wanted to give you an introduction to Apollo himself, tell you that little story. So how did I get introduced to Apodora? Well, I owe many thanks to Todd Dyer, my friend and mentor, and I was fortunate enough to go to the Psychotic Exotics warehouse while he was managing that business for Kerry King of Slayer, and Todd himself had a few of these animals here. And I distinctly remember, while trying to scoop my jaw off of the floor, looking at all the wonderful, amazing snakes he had there, he goes into a large enclosure, starts reaching in, pulling out a massive animal. Beautiful, shimmering, olive dark green with a blue hue over it, because she ended up being a little bit in shed. Next thing I know, he yanks out this big 13, 14 foot Apodora female and just drapes her right over my shoulder. She goes over my shoulder, head down here, and does one of these, and I see the eyes turn in the socket. She looked at me and I just perceived nothing but pure intelligence, and she gave me this look of like, I could kill you, right? And I was just blown away. I mean, I will never forget that image. I remember the Birkenstocks Todd was wearing when he put that animal over my shoulders, because I was so blown away by the weight, the power, the animal over here, but then the rest of it down there, and looking at Todd's feet and being like, what is this? And that's when I learned what Apodora are. So one day these will be a bucket list species for me to reproduce. I'm blessed to maintain a population of 2.2, which means 2 males, 2 females. And when I set out on this journey to work with Apodora, I sort of had a pipe dream of a group that I wanted to put together, which I didn't think was really possible, yet here I am. I wanted 1.1 captive born and bred individuals, and I wanted some wild caughts. So I could blend the two, mix, the confident captive born and bred individuals with some new blood. And here I am with exactly that. This guy obviously being the first one, a little wild caught baby. And then my next two were a pair of 2017 captive born and bred individuals produced by Kevin Wilninski by way of Rob Stone. And I got those a few years ago from Rob. And those are the ones that I've been showing you breeding updates on. And Fluffy, the other one, is a long-term captive that I purchased from an individual locally here as a large long-term captive. And she blended right into the group. And next thing I knew, I had my perfect dream 2.2. Now, that doesn't mean I've got all the answers and that I'll magically breed these, but I've got the tools to at least try. So that's where we're at. So what is it about these guys that I love so much? Well, obviously that beautiful iridescence, that bulldog head. I'll superimpose a few photos over here of some shots that I've taken over the years, but I love the black skin under the gray scalation in the head. That black edging just highlights all the cool steel gray and the green on them. They look amazing. That two-tone color, they'll fire up and fire down different times of day and night depending on how they're feeling. Very similar to crested geckos. It's pretty crazy to see. And they're just amazing. They're really smart. They're gentle giants. They're very tolerant. They're a little huffy when they want to be, so they'll tell you off a little bit, but they're just special. They're really cool, and it's hard to explain until you've interacted with one. I'm a big fan. I don't know if I could ever live without these guys. They're just phenomenal snakes. I mean, how can you not love that? So, the story behind how I was introduced to them means a lot to me. Accomplishing a goal that I set out for myself means a lot to me. And then it's just kind of a special group of folks who work with these animals. It's neat to have the camaraderie between other Apodora keepers that I know, like Ryan Young, who's recently been successful twice producing them, so setting the bar high. But yeah, I just thought I would take a moment to introduce you to Apollo, kind of explain my love obsession with Apodora, how that came to be, give you a little bit of an introduction to them, because I'm sure if you were to go Google or YouTube Apodora videos, you're not going to find a ton. If you go look on iNaturalist, you'll find a few spots, a few sightings on the islands where they've been photographed. They're not the most uncommon snakes, and they do, still import them in small quoted amounts. But yeah, I love these animals. Very happy to have the 4 that I do. They're all individuals. They each have their own personality, and love my snakes. So you're the snake. Love your snakes, right? All right, and with that, I'm gonna leave you guys. Go check out my sponsors, Reptile Husbandry Designs. Get yourself some awesome 3D printed perching, cup holders, you name it, for your animals. Enrichment ideas galore, hides, amazing stuff. He's super creative and making awesome stuff. Use code RR10 at checkout to get you 10% off. Save you some money there. And then once you're done there, if you're going to do any shipping this year, go to Reptiles Express, get your shipping supplies there. use all of the different tools they have available, supplies, materials, everything you can get is right there for shipping. And if you use code Riley50, you'll save 50% off the traditional FedEx shipping rates for up to 10 labels per customer. So if you're going to ship with the best, use Reptiles Express, use that code, save you some money. With all that money you're going to save, then you can go splurge on a US Ark or a US Ark Florida membership. You can join for free and become a member for free, but if you don't mind, spending money always helps. They're the only group of folks working against any sort of unjust legislation aimed at the reptile hobby. So they support us, least we could do is support them. Every member counts. Speaking of support, if you like what we got going on here, you want to support this endeavor, get discounts on merch, early access to babies, inside scoop on stuff, and access to the Discord community we've got growing, just look me up on Patreon, Riley Jimison on Patreon. Not hard to find. Appreciate everyone's support. My patrons are awesome, wonderful people. Appreciate everyone. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Toodles.